Today we're talking about something I get asked all the time as an English teacher. How do I stop translating in my head? And how do I actually start thinking in English? Hey everyone, Joe here. Welcome back. Maybe this sounds familiar. You understand English pretty well. You know the grammar, you've learned a lot of vocabulary. But when it's time to speak, everything slows down. You build sentences in your own language first, then translate them into English. And by the time you're ready to speak, the moment is gone. If that sounds like you, don't worry, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to break down what thinking in English really means, what research says about it, and most importantly, how you can train your brain to do it step by step. I'll also share what worked for me when I learned my second language. So, what does thinking in English actually mean? It's simpler than you might think. It means your brain can access English words and phrases quickly and automatically, without having to search for them every time. It's all about access. When you translate, your brain is doing two jobs. First, you create the idea in your own language. Then, you convert it into English. That extra step, that's what slows you down. Thinking in English means reducing that effort, so your brain can go straight from idea to English. What does research say? A study from 2024 looked at what really makes people fluent in a second language. The key idea they focused on is called cognitive fluency. In simple terms, that's how quickly your brain can recognize and retrieve words. Here's what they found. Some learners rely on controlled processing. They slow down, search for words, and check everything carefully. Others use more automatic processing. Their brains retrieve words quickly with less effort. And the result? The learners with more automatic processing spoke faster with fewer pauses. Not because they were smarter, not because they knew more grammar, but because their brains were better trained to access English quickly. Why translation slows you down? Now, translation isn't bad. In fact, at the beginning, it's very helpful. But if it becomes your main strategy, it starts to work against you. Why? Because controlled processing uses more mental energy. That's why your speech might be correct, but slow, hesitant, and unnatural. Fluency comes when your brain doesn't have to stop and check every step. When I was learning French, I translated everything. Every sentence, every thought. I could speak, but it felt heavy. I was always one step behind in conversations. What changed everything? Repetition and exposure. I started hearing the same phrases again and again. Instead of building sentences word by word, I began using ready-made patterns. And slowly, my brain adapted. I didn't force myself to think in French. It just happened naturally because I used the language so often. When I was learning French, I translated everything. Every sentence, every thought. I could speak, but it felt heavy. I was always one step behind in conversations. What changed everything? Repetition and exposure. I started hearing the same phrases again and again. Instead of building sentences word by word, I began using ready-made patterns. And slowly, my brain adapted. I didn't force myself to think in French. It just happened naturally because I used the language so often. How to train your brain to think in English. Let's get practical. 1. Focus on collocations. Your brain doesn't like isolated words. It prefers patterns. For example, we say heavy rain, not big rain. When you learn phrases like make a decision, take responsibility, or heavy rain, your brain starts predicting what comes next. That makes speaking faster and easier. 2. Use shadowing. Shadowing means listening and repeating immediately out loud. No translating, no overthinking, just reacting. This is one of the most powerful techniques I used. It trains your brain to respond automatically in English. 3. Speak as much as possible even if you make mistakes. Speaking forces your brain to find words faster, and that speed is what builds fluency. 4. Use stories as input. You don't need to understand everything. In fact, understanding 60 to 70% is perfect. It pushes your brain to guess meaning, use context, and connect ideas directly to English. That's how you reduce translation. 5. Be realistic. Thinking in English isn't a switch you turn on. It's a gradual process. Some days you'll translate, some days you won't. That's completely normal. The goal isn't perfection, it's less effort and more flow. Thinking in English isn't a myth. I know it's real because I experience it myself. And research shows that fluency improves when your brain gets faster at accessing words. If you train that speed through repetition, patterns, and real use, your brain will adapt. And one day, you won't be thinking about English anymore. You'll just be speaking.